Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I'm very happy to welcome Dave Albin here, and he is a Firewalk instructor. We're going to learn about that and what he does, but let's kick this off right, man. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, thanks for having me on, Kyle. It's always an honor, man. Well, you know, I'm a guy, grew up in Southern California. When I was born, shortly before that happened, my dad committed suicide. We believe he had a plate put in his head, and he had a lot of pain, and he couldn't take it. And so he told mom one day he was going to the grocery store. We never saw or heard from him again. So when I was born, single mom, already had two half brothers, living in a one-bedroom apartment in Hollywood, California. And by the time I was 5, my mom, who gave birth to me, my biological mother, she went to her oldest sister and said, "Hey, I can't feed the family. Will you adopt David?" And they did. So my aunt and uncle adopted me, brought me to Long Beach, California. Things were great for a long time, and then things weren't great because they both started drinking when I was around 11. And they also brought me in on the first day of summer, set me down, and said, "David, we're not your parents." So that was a pretty confusing moment in my life on the first day of summer, 1964. And then when they started drinking, things went to hell pretty quickly. I tried alcohol at a really young age, at around 11. It wasn't too long after they started drinking that I tried it. And I really didn't have a chance, Kyle. I believe I was an alcoholic on the spot. And things got, kind of bad, right? By the time I was a junior in high school, they brought me into the principal's office one day and said, "Out, you're done. You're dangerous. We don't want you in our school." And so that's kind of how my life unfolded for a lot of it. I was in my third marriage in June 8th of 1988. I had 3 stepkids. I loved them dearly, but I was a wreck, man. I was a 5-car collision, a train wreck, and a plane crash all rolled into one. And I don't know, that morning I just said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm out." And the only thought I had in the moment to stop the pain, the excruciating emotional and physical pain that I was going through, was to take my life. And so I struggled with that morning. And I remember thinking, man, you know what? If you decide to do that, you're going to ruin those 3 kids that are living upstairs life. Yeah, you may think your problems are over, but you're going to ruin their life. And so that made sense to me. And I decided that I wasn't going to do that. And I decided to, but I still needed help, right? So I decided to call Alcoholics Anonymous. And what's interesting about that moment, Kyle, is I didn't even know who AA was, man. I didn't have any references for them. I didn't know anybody in AA, never been to AA, yet there was the thought. So I made the phone call, and I got this wonderful human being on the other end of the phone. I've affectionately nicknamed her Madge. And the reason I did is because she talked like this, man. She probably smoked 2 packs of Pall Mall non-filters a day, right? But man, bro, she saved my life, literally, because she's the gatekeeper, right? She's the one that makes decisions that she would call somebody to come pick you up, and she did that. And so I went to my first AA meeting on June 8th, 1988, went to 4 meetings that day, and it stuck, man. And they gave me a little coin that morning, 24-hour coin. And then I got one at 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year. And I picked up one this last June 8th here in 2023 for 35 years. So what happened is that as I was getting sober, at the same time, I had insomnia. And I was up late one night, and there he was, a young, enthusiastic Tony Robbins, who's a famous motivational speaker. Some of your audience may not know who he is. And so he was selling a program. And to be honest, when I first listened to him, I did not like the guy. I thought he was pompous as hell. But he said a couple of things that really, really got me to listen to more. The first thing he said was, "We'll do more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure." Well, that made a lot of sense to me, because with the drinking and the drugging, right, that's all I was doing. I was either trying to go after, try to find some pleasure, or I was running from pain, right? And the other thing he said that got me, he said the driving force on our life, the reason we make decisions is we make them out of inspiration or desperation. Well, that's what got me, because I was pretty desperate. So I bought his program. It was a 30-day program. They sent it in a big box, and it came on these little white things called cassette tapes, man, right? Some of your audience isn't going to know what the hell those things are, right? Go to the Smithsonian. They're in there. You can see them right next to 8-track tapes and reel-to-reels, right? And so, yeah, I went through his program. I did what the man taught me to do, and it worked. And 8 years later, I found out he was coming to my hometown in D.C., in Reston, Virginia. And so a buddy of mine decided to go. And when we found out that, we bought the tickets, one of the things they told us, they said, hey, you're going to be doing a firewalk. And when they told me that, I was like, well, maybe you're going to be doing a firewalk, pal, but I'm sure as hell not doing it. You're out of your mind, right? Fire and walk didn't sound like anything I wanted to do. And, it was interesting up until that point. Fear had pretty much made every decision for me. It had taken so much for me. It robbed me of so many things because I was constantly in fear of the unknown, right? And so we went to the event that day, and we got there, and Tony took the stage at 2:00 in the afternoon. And the next thing I know, man, it's after midnight. And I'm in a room with Tony for 10 hours, right? And the next thing, I hear Tony say, it says, take your shoes off. And I'm like, oh, no, man. I see where you're going with that one, pal. You're not tricking my ass into that. Well, the problem is that you're in a room with 3,500 people, and guess what they're doing? They're taking their damn shoes off. So now I'm left with the dilemma. Am I not going to take my shoes off and walk out into this big parking lot where this firewalk is taking place, and I'm wearing my shoes? Everybody's going to know I'm a chicken shit, right? So we can't have that. So I took them off, and I said, don't worry about it. When you get out there, just hide in the back. No one's going to know. Well, the challenge is Tony knows. Tony knows that the Firewalk is probably one of the most life-changing experiences on the planet. It's been around for 1,000 years. It's been used by cultures all over the world. The Tahitians and the people of India, the Polynesians, the Hawaiians, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the Indo-Europeans, Native American Indians. Firewalking has been around for 1,000 years, and it's been used as a rite of passage. It's used as a graduation. It's used when people get married or they have children. And Tony knows. He did his research. And so there he is, man. And he knows I'm hiding in the back. So he trains people to come find you, literally. And sure enough, I'm back there hiding out. Think I got it all figured out, right? By the way, when you go out there, he's got everybody chanting, right? So everybody's walking out there going, yes, yes, 3,500 people. He's got African drummers, right? And it's dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's a dog and pony show, bro. It is unbelievable, right? And they got this big giant fire they build, and they burn it all day, and it renders, after about 10 hours, and they load coals in a wheelbarrow. And, logistically, how you do set this up for 3,500 people, and you put a wheelbarrow, and then you lay 2 lanes of sod on each side of it, grass, right? About 3 feet wide, 18 feet long. They just take a shovel, and they sprinkle those coals on that grass, right? They call it a fire lane. And again, I'm hiding in the back, and this dude came and found me, man. And he literally walks up to me and he goes, dude, are you okay? Because, I'm not, no, of course I'm not okay. But of course, when we get asked that, what do? We lie, right? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. All good here, man. Yeah. He goes, hey, man, you going to walk tonight? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. And he goes, no problem. We don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. He goes, well, but wouldn't you at least like to watch? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. He goes, well, just get in the line and eventually you'll get up there. All right, he got me, right? I got in line, and once I got in line, the next thing I know, I'm up at the front. And I'm there, man, and I'm looking down at those coals, and they're bright red, and there's a wheelbarrow there. You can feel the heat coming off. My heart's going boom, 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 boom. I'm thinking, literally, I'm going to lose it, right? I am staring into the abyss. Well, there's a trainer standing there, and he knows what's going on. He can see. And all of a sudden, he goes, eyes up. And so, I bring my eyes up. Well, when I was in the room with Tony for 10 hours, guess what he teaches you to do? Keep your eyes up, right? I guess I'm a slow learner. In other words, he's saying, look, don't stare at what you fear. You have to think about what's on the other side of this, the reward. And so now, next thing I know, he says, squeeze your fist and say yes. And I went, yes. And he went stronger. And I went, yes. And he goes, go, go, go. Sure enough, man, I took off. Well, here's the first thing I learned about firewalking. When you take the first step, you'll take the second, third, fourth, and fifth. I guarantee you, man. You're not going to stop, right? So he's got people, and they catch you, and they're like, stop, wipe your feet and celebrate. And I'm celebrating. And I'm celebrating like a little child at Christmas. I am just full of exhilaration at this point. I am so freaking proud of myself that I just walked on coals that are 1,000 degrees. Now, at first, I thought I burnt myself, right? Mm-hmm. Ghost pains. Well, when I looked at my foot, it was dirty, but there's no burns. And so there I am, man. I walked on coals that are 1,000 degrees, and I didn't burn myself. And what's interesting, I had no clue how I did it. How the hell you do that? But I took credit for it. I'm like, that's right. That's what this guy did, right? And I'm down there. There's 3,500 people celebrating like crazy. It is unbelievable. And, in that moment, you think you can do anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, it's like, where's the bus? Let's go climb Everest, people. Well, this is a 4-day event, right? And this was day one, the night of. Well, I'll tell you where it gets really interesting. The next day, we come in, we're standing in the foyer. We did the firewalk last night. We drank the Kool-Aid, that's for sure. And I've never seen anything like this. People were getting along, Kyle, like you've never seen, man. They're hugging and laughing and crying, and they're talking about their stories, and they're talking about fear and the firewalk. It was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. Well, later in the event, I met one of Tony's trainers, and he basically said, hey, man, if you want to come, because I was like, hey, do you get to be in this environment on a regular basis? He goes, oh, yeah, I'm here 10 times a year. I go, man, this would be great. God, I'd love to be able to do that. He goes, well, see those people standing over there with the black shirts and the pink writing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, dude, they're volunteers. They're just like you. They came, they went to the firewalk, and they wanted to come back and be in the environment. He said, so go home and call Robbins Research and ask them for an application. Maybe you'll get approved. And so I did. And the next thing I know, there I am at a Tony Robbins seminar as a volunteer. And so from there, they literally ended up hiring me because I had a military and a security background to help take care of Tony's celebrities. So this was all going down in 95 and 96. 2003 rolls along. Tony offers me the captain's position to take over all the firewalks. And he did that because I got on the fire building team and I became the assistant. So I was learning how to set these up and what to do. And then when I took over, in 2003, man, that was it. He even paid for my family to go with me because I was homeschooling at the time. And they paid for my kids and my wife to go on the road with Tony Robbins all over the world. It's a beautiful moment, man. And then 2005, we went to London. We set the world record. We firewalked 12,300 people. I do want to say Guinness wasn't there, but it's still a world record. I'll tell you that. It's the largest firewalk that's ever been assembled. The only thing that's ever come anywhere close to that is another Tony Robbins seminar where it was 10,000. And so I went along for years, man. I'm on his security team. I'm helping to take care of his celebrities. I'm facilitating his firewalks around the world. And then in 2014, I'm driving down the road and my phone rings and it's Google. And they're calling me. They want to know, am I the Dave Albin that does the firewalks for Tony Robbins? I'm like, yeah, what's up? They said, well, if you're not under any contractual obligation or non-compete, we'd like to talk to you about hiring you. And I'm like, okay, well, homeboy's a free agent, man. What you got? Right? How often is people driving down the road and Google call you to hire you? Are you kidding me? Right? But there it was, man. It was happening right before my very eyes. And so I ended up getting hired by Google. And that's really when the light bulb went off. One of the executives at Google said, hey, man, you might want to think about starting your own gig. There's a huge marketplace for you in corporate America because they need a paradigm shift. They need something to get people up to do something because, we know, right, what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. And so I'm literally the guy that can create these life-changing experiences. And that's when I started Firewalk Productions. Shortly after that, Kyle, I'm at NASA, then I'm at Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Remax, Chick-fil-A, Y.M.C.A. I mean, the EO organization. Hell, the next thing you know, you're on the Vibes broadcast with Kyle Yates, right? Shit, you don't know, man. You know what I mean? You just don't know what life's going to come your way. And so, as we were talking before the show, corporate America has been a great ride. I love it, but it dawned on me a couple of months ago that I need to take what I do, this life-changing experiences, and I need to focus it on 4 categories. Number 1, veterans. Mm-hmm. Number 2, first responders. Number 3, single moms. And number 4, kids that have been bullied. And so right now we just scheduled, I literally taken the whole company in a different direction now, and I'm really going to focus in on those 4 categories. And we already booked our first firewalk in Modesto, California on April 13th. And so not that I won't do corporate America, but I'm going to go out to corporate America and say, look, how'd you like to save some veterans' lives? The numbers we hear out there is 22 a day are committing suicide. Or excuse me, they're taking their own lives. Scratch that. But what I also found was that it's more like 40, because that's only if they leave a note. Yeah. So it was obviously true to my heart, and it hit me hard. And I'm like, that's where I need to go. I need to go focus on these men and women and help them, and create something compelling for them to get their purpose back, if you will. And so we created it's going to be called Operation Do No Harm. And we're looking for all the help that we can possibly get, not only from individuals, other vets, but certainly the corporate community that want to put their brand out in something that can be, obviously a really, really powerful way to help save some people's lives.
They're trained to be like a attack dog,
right?
And then expected just to go back in society like nothing.
Exactly.
They need help, man. They need help.
They do. And I'm all in, brother. One of the things we're going to do at the event is I'm going to tell them, look, this is a 1,000-year-old experience. We're specifically creating this event tonight for you guys, period. And so here's what I'm going to get them to do. I'm going to get them to take an oath. They're going to make a creed. You're going to raise your hand and you're going to promise to do no harm. If you want to participate in this experience tonight, before I take you out there, you're going to raise your hand and I'm going to take them through the creed, and they're going to have to promise to do no harm. Then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the board break. So it's a martial arts thing, right? So I'm going to teach them how to break a board with their bare hand. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to have them write on the board. I want them to write something on front of the board they want to move towards, and then something on back of the board they need to move away from. I'm going to have them write anybody's name on the board that they're in conflict with. Right. So if forgiveness or reconciliation is part of that relationship, that shit ends tonight, man. You're not going to continue to go through life carrying a resentment for another human being. So put their damn name on the board tonight. And you said it earlier, forgiveness, man. It's such a powerful, powerful mindset. And then to create the rite of passage, what we're going to do there, Kyle, is we're going to have them write anybody's name on the board that they've lost. Right. So that creates the rite of passage. It could be your grandparent, right? Or it could be somebody they lost over, when they were deployed. Doesn't matter. Let's get their name on there and let's bring that energy and their power to the board break. So then we'll take them outside. We'll have the board break stations. They'll break their board, and then they'll add the board to the fire, and then they'll do their firewalk, and then we're going to do what's called the heart hug. And what's cool about this experience is that we hug the opposite way that we normally do, that we're accustomed to. And then that way our heart is on top of the person's that we're hugging heart. And then I have them do 3 cleansing breaths, a deep diaphragmatic breath. And what happens when you're going into or coming out of that first or second breath, your hearts calibrate. They start beating at the same time, which is freaking magical. So that I'll do that about 6 times or so. Mm-hmm. With the entire group, and it's always a different person. So by the time you get to like the 6th time you do that, you got everybody's heart beating at the same time. And then like AA, then we're going to take them back inside, and we're going to have a medallion made. And the medallion's going to say Operation Do No Harm. And then we're going to probably write the code of conduct on the back of the coin. Like, this is my AA coin. It has a serenity prayer, right? So we'll have specific wording for the vets on the back of their coin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them to put it in their hand. And I'm going to tell them, I want you to squeeze that as hard as you possibly can. And yeah, does it hurt? Can you feel that pain? Well, guess what? If you decide to take your own life, that's just a little bit of the pain that your friends and family are going to go through if you make that decision, which is a permanent answer to a temporary problem. Yes. Right? So we're gonna do that. And then we have these coals, right, that we're going to give them. These are literally the coals from the Firewalk, right? So it'll say Operation Do No Harm. I firewalked, in 2024, right? So they'll have that so they can look at it. And then I went to one of my companies that sponsor me and that I work really close with, which is the Zippo Lighter Company, right? I love these guys, man. They're so cool. This is my lighter that they made for me with my logo on it. But I went up a couple of weeks ago and I said, hey guys, here's what we're doing with the vets. Are you guys interested in being involved? And they said, absolutely. So I went up there and I sit down with the design and engineering team. And so here's what they're going to do. I don't know if you know, Zippo's been around since 1932. They made their first lighter in 33. As a matter of fact, they've made over 700 million lighters in their career. And so, what they're going to do is, my dad carried one of these in World War II. Back during the war, Zippo made lighters and he gave them out to all the GIs that were getting deployed to go fight the Nazis. So my dad actually had one. So what they're going to do is we're going to take the 1941 replica that Zippo made back then, and we're going to paint them black like this. And then they're going to laser in Operation Do No Harm on the lighter. So they're going to be sick, man. They're going to be beautiful. They're almost going to look like almost glow in the dark because of the way they're lasering it. So I'm really proud and really honored that Zippo stepped up, and we'll be working with what we think is a pretty darn noble cause.
I love this domino effect that you made a decision to change your life, and you've come so far that you're going to be changing other people's lives. And please don't get me wrong. I appreciate anyone out there that is willing to help others with addictions. But when you have someone who's been through it, people can relate to you a lot better than somebody that just has a certificate that says I went to school to learn how to be an addiction counselor.
Absolutely. Your credibility is instant, man. You know what's interesting too, Kyle? I'm glad you brought that up because in AA you have the 12 steps, and that's how you put your life back together. And then you have the 12 traditions, which is really what governs the group as a whole. But in the middle there, man, you've got the preamble. And one of the things the preamble says, and I took this to heart, and it said, when anyone anywhere reaches out, I want the hand of AA to be there, and for that, I am responsible. And really, so that was my creed. And so now it's just, I will continue to do that because let's face it, a lot of the vets are dealing with addiction as well. So I've got that hat that I can wear. But at the end of the day, the whole idea with the Firewalk experience is to, again, they're going to take that oath and that creed, and part of that is that they have to promise to go recruit. It's going to be like Amway, man, where it's going to be multi-level marketing. We want you to go out there and find other vets and get them into this community, man. Let's get them their lighter. Let's get them their coin. Let's get them across that fire. Let's do that board break. Let's get them their coals, man. And let's let these people know that there's a whole bunch of people out here that love them, that care about them, and that they're here to make sure that there is a purpose to their life, and that we collectively can make a substantial difference. What's that song that was back in the 70s? What did it say about where you're out there saving other people's lives, right? You're finding that magical connection. Together we stand, divided we fall, I think was the lyrics, right? Right. So same thing here. And you get them back, man. You get them back into the person, get them back in that environment. Like you said, man, you train them to be killers, and then they go over there, and then they come home, and now what? They're going to what? Yeah. Go get a job at Walmart? I mean, not that having a job at Walmart's a bad thing, but I mean, it's got to be bigger than that, right? They need that divine purpose. And so I want to, there's a lot of really great corporations. I just reached out to the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Right? Right. These guys are sick, man. They're funny and they got a great product. Their coffee's really good, and they're all vets, man. I'm reaching out to some. There's another company out there that I'm really proud that going to be represented by too, and it's MIT 45, and they make Kratom, and they're out of Salt Lake, and really great company, really well managed, really beautiful people involved. So yeah, we're going after anybody that wants to get their brand out there. They're going to spend money on sponsorship anyway. So maybe quit giving NASCAR so much and give us a little. We're not asking for all of it, just a little bit, and we could bring these. I just reached out to Lowe's too. And so, yeah, so we're going to be reaching out to companies like that, and hopefully we'll get a lot of help. And because with the right funding and the amount of people that we can recruit and pull this together, I can see us doing, thousands and thousands and thousands of these vets and your first responders, because they're they're taking their lives as well. And of course, single moms. I was born to a single mom, man. So I know, right? I understand that. My daughter was a single mom for a while. So they've got a really soft spot in my heart. And then kids that are being bullied, that's always bothered me.
Yeah.
I did a little bullying when I was a kid too, and I'm not proud of that. Things at home are pretty rough. There's a lot of alcohol and a lot of screaming and yelling, and so what do they say? Hurt people, and I was hurt, and so But now, like you said, with great knowledge and great wisdom comes great responsibility. So.
Yeah.
I've done a pretty good job in the corporate world, so now I want to let the corporate world come and that's the cool thing. If you come to me as a corporation, you want to help sponsor Operation Do No Harm. That's great, and I can still come and do gigs for you guys as well, for them as well, right? So I'm creating a win-win for those guys. We're gonna make them look good and feel good, and at the end of the day, if we can save one life, is it worth it? Yeah.
Yes,
Sure
definitely.
as hell is.
You hit the nail on the head when you said purpose. When you give someone purpose, you change their life.
Yep.
You found purpose, and look where it's brought you. And then if you give other people purpose, that's how I got back on track. I'm like you. I relate to you. I started drinking. I was 12 when I started drinking.
Wow.
And then got into the drugs and heavy. I mean, you hardly seen me sober. And it took me having a heart attack at age 36 and nearly losing my children. And that purpose of my children is what put me on the right track.
Good for you. Congratulations, bro.
And this is not, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make this about me. It's just,
no, it's cool, man. I want to hear it. I'm sure your listeners want to know.
That's the correlation, is once you have that purpose, then your life has that meaning, and it makes you want to go on.
It does.
When I had no purpose, I didn't.
Right. Well, and what's interesting too is that's why service dogs work so well, right? Mm-hmm. Because now the vet's got a dog. Now they have to take care of the dog, AKA purpose, man. There it is. Right. So yeah, we know it works. There's no doubt about it. I've just been blessed because I've been in the personal development industry for over 3 decades. I got to work for Tony Robbins for almost 20 years. And I did work for Harv, Eker, Wayne Dyer, and a lot of other, personal development gurus, if you will. And now it's all come full circle. When I was doing that podcast, and Natalia asked me, "Have you ever done a firewalk for veterans?" And I went, "Holy moly! That's it. That's what a great way." Because at the end of the day, Kyle, this, it's all about your legacy. Yes. And so now my kids and my grandkids, will be able to look back and go, "Yeah, that was my grandpa, man. This is what he did. He saw that that community needed help, and he went in that direction. And instead of talking about it, I'm out going to do something." And we do that. And I want to find ways for everybody to get involved. Like, hey, Dave, I'm not a big company. I don't have a lot of money. I can't put up thousands of dollars to bring an event to our city or our town, right? Well, okay. Well, then maybe you could donate monthly, right? So I'm creating the nonprofit right now, the foundation. Again, it's going to be Operation Do No Harm. And so that way, anybody that's out there, maybe they can afford $57 a month or something like that, right? Where they'll be able to sponsor an actual vet. During Vietnam, and where I got that idea was they used to have these bracelets back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And so anybody that got deployed to Vietnam, you could get a bracelet, and it had their name, it had their rank, and when they were deployed. And so what you were supposed to do is put on that bracelet and wear it until they came home. And of course, obviously, 63,000, a number close to that, didn't come home. And then there were the POWs, the MIAs, and everything else on top of that. So when I was a kid in junior high school, man, I remember, probably high school as well, I wore one of those bracelets. So maybe we want to try to create something similar to that, Kyle, if that makes sense, so that you can sponsor a vet who's home and maybe make a connection and just let them know that somebody's out there. And not only are they giving them money, that's great, but more importantly, I want you to give them your love. I want you to connect with them. I want you to maybe become pen pals and talk to them and this kind of thing. So there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that we need to put together because this just happened here in the last couple of months. And I wouldn't have made that connection with Natalia Earl, had I not been in the podcasting space. So I'm very grateful to Podmatch and Alex and Alicia, all those over there who have helped me, not only become pretty, moving along pretty quickly here in the podcasting community, but I also think that they're going to be helping me. I'm going to be talking to them about how to help get this word out and get as many people on board with this as we possibly can.
Well, we're going to do whatever we can. I'm not a huge podcast right now, but we're growing, and we're going to do everything that we can to help you all out. And
you know what, Kyle? I'll tell you right now, there's somebody right now in your audience that's listening to this that says, I'm in.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I want to be involved. And that's momentum. And you know what? And what's interesting about that, right? You never know what one of your listeners is going to take it. Who knows? There could be somebody listening right now, and guess what? Their uncle owns XYZ Corporation, and they're going to go tell their uncle, and then their uncle's going to come and go, Dave, how can we get involved? I want to bring the Operation Do No Harm Firewalk to my city. Let's make that happen. You know what I mean? So, never underestimate what a small group of people can do to change the world. Indeed, right. It's the only thing that ever has. So, right. The fact that you're willing to let me come on here and talk about it speaks volumes to me, brother.
Well, this is my challenge to the audience, and this is not to grow my numbers by any means. This is to help them out. Share this out as much as you can, get the word out. And even if you don't want to share the episode, just tell them about Dave and his organization and see what y'all can do to help them out. And if someone wants to get involved or they want to maybe do a firewalk, do you have a website that they can go to?
Yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of us is just go to our website. It's firewalkadventures.com. So it's firewalk, second word, adventures with an S, firewalkadventures.com. And it's all there. They can get a hold of me. I'm very accessible. My calendar's there. I also run an academy. It's called the Dave Albin Firewalk Academy. I just graduated the last group of 11 people here a couple of weeks ago. And so I do it once a year in October up here in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm up here in the northwestern part of the state of North Carolina. If anybody knows where Boone, North Carolina is, where App State University is, I'm about 25 minutes west of there. And I'm about a little less than 2 hours northwest of Charlotte. So and the academy is basically people come to me and then I teach them, right? So corporations, they can hire me. Right? They come in, they hire me, they write a check, we go put on the firewalk, we create those, that magnificent experience for them. Sometimes now, though, they want to come to me and they want me to train them so they can go back and do it in their communities or for their company. I'm getting all kinds of people coming. I got coaches, trainers, entrepreneurs, business owners, HR departments. There's a whole bunch of different people that want to come and learn all these life-changing experiences by attending the academy. So that's there too. And our next one's going to be in 2024, in October of 2024. And it will sell out. I'll tell you that right now. This last one sold out. And I only bring in a small group. I bring in 18 people. And that's 3 groups of 6. I do it that way specifically. There's reasoning behind that. And we've already got several people that have already signed up for 2024. But that's there too.
Do you have social media?
I do. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. If you want to go to my personal page, it's Dave Albin. You can find me there. By the way, I'm senior, not junior. If you see the really good-looking kid, that's my son. That's not me. I'm dad. And then I'm on Instagram, And I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Twitter. It's just like I had to put the brakes on. I can't manage all that, right? But we also have Firewalk Adventures Facebook page as well. And then if you want to get corporate, then you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
I will put all those links in the description to make it easy for folks to find you. Dave, I appreciate you coming on, and anything that we can do to help you out, we will do it.
You did it by having me on your show, brother.
And please come back. I want to hear more.
Oh, I do.
Stories.
Oh, please. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let me get some momentum going on here, and where I can come back and go, all right, so since we talked last, we've done this, and this. And I'd love to keep your audience up to speed on what's going on, man. And you too.
I am looking forward to it. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you out there. If you are new to the channel, well, I hope you'll come back, hit that subscribe button. And from our regulars, you guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network